But boy, Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
Boom.
Boy.
Really? Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Just as an intelligent person, a statesman, I felt like he's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change.
And you're like, wow, how could Trump, equivocate on this whole thing? And then it took just a little bit of digging, just a little bit, because all you had to do is extend the clip 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan has taken aim at Barack Obama, arguing that the former president ultimately damaged his own legacy. When Obama first ran, he leaned heavily on identity politics and captivated much of the country. Kamala Harris tried to follow that same blueprint years later, but this time it fell flat. Rogan says that failure can be traced directly back to Obama himself. He explains why, and we've got the clips to back it up. But before we jump in, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our latest uploads. Let's get into it.
Did trust the government, but which is such a weird thing to say. I used to think it was the Obama administration, but boy, Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
Boom.
Boy.
Really? Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Just as an intelligent person, a statesman, I felt like he's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You think you're going to do something, and then you get into office, and you're like, oh God, what a fucking quagmire this place is. But watching him just straight up lie about Trump, the thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist, which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017. Yeah. I think it worked back then. I don't think it works anymore.
Joe Rogan recently reflected on a time when he, like much of the country, took Barack Obama at his word during the election cycle. He argues that more than half of America accepted the narrative without much skepticism. Claims that Donald Trump was a fascist, a racist, or even a white supremacist were repeated endlessly from every direction until they began to feel like established facts rather than political messaging. Rogan believes the strategy was simple: define Trump before voters had the chance to form their own opinions. Once that framing stuck, questioning it became unacceptable. Anyone who pushed back was immediately lumped into the same category. Looking back, Rogan says it was a wake-up call that revealed just how easily public opinion can be shaped when authority figures speak confidently, and the media echoes them without challenge.
I don't think people believe it anymore. I think that we've gotten numb to all this stuff.
Well, it's the sky is falling thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, cry wolf or whatever. It's like, you guys can only call me a fascist so many times. I mean, like the New York.
Now Rogan argues that hardly anyone believes that narrative anymore, and that collapsing trust played a major role in why voters ultimately shifted toward Trump. After years of non-stop accusations and extreme rhetoric, people began to notice a pattern. The same warnings were repeated again and again, yet many voters felt reality didn't match the claims. What once sounded convincing slowly began to feel manufactured. Rogan believes much of the messaging around Trump wasn't an honest assessment, but a political strategy designed to manipulate emotion and preserve power for figures like Obama and later Kamala Harris. Over time, voters moved from skeptical to resistant, and finally to defiant. Rogan frames the last election as a rejection of fear-based messaging, media conformity, and political spin, arguing that voters weren't just responding to candidates, but to a broader collapse in trust.
It's insane.
Well, she also has been saying something really crazy. She's been saying that this is the closest race of the 21st century and that it wasn't a mandate. That's just not true.
It's not true.
Gore and Bush was much closer.
Yes.
I think that was a 0.5%.
I don't know why she keeps saying this.
That's just a lie. And then also she's leaving out the fact that she lost every swing state, every single one.
Yeah.
So, like, what are you talking about?
I know. It's
he
crazy.
won the popular vote and he won the electoral college vote.
Man.
And that's a mandate. Like, say that it's not a mandate. It's like, but it's almost like if you say it to the converted that they're going to listen and repeat it. Yeah, he barely won.
Right.
Like, no, he won.
Yeah.
He won every swing state. He won the popular vote. Yeah. That's called winning. You win the House and you win the Senate. That he won. That means he won.
Rogan believes Kamala Harris and the DNC are still reeling from the scale of their defeat in the last election. He argues that embarrassment plays a major role in why some party leaders continue to struggle with the outcome and what it revealed about voter sentiment. Losing is painful, but losing badly is humbling. Still, discomfort doesn't change reality. The truth remains a truth whether it's acknowledged or not. Rogan argues that accepting a decisive loss is a first step toward rebuilding credibility. It forces reflection, accountability, and honesty. You can't fix what you refuse to admit is broken. Until the DNC openly confronts where it went wrong and why voters walked away, Rogan believes it's doomed to repeat the same mistakes.
Credit for the no tax on tips things in the book as well.
That's hilarious because that was clearly his.
Clearly.
He said it first and they copied it.
It's amazing.
Did she really say that in the book?
I haven't read it, but I have heard from someone who did read it that she did. So people.
She had to address not coming on here in the book too, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Rogan also criticized Kamala Harris for attempting to take credit for the so-called no tax on tips policy. According to Rogan, anyone being even remotely honest knows that the idea, at least in its modern and popular form, originated with Donald Trump. It was never a long-standing Democratic platform. It was a deliberate campaign message Trump used to connect with working-class voters. Rogan argues that Harris tried to rewrite that history, assuming voters wouldn't notice. To him, this was yet another example of narrative manipulation, and one that completely backfired. The public didn't buy it, and the election results made that clear. What frustrated Rogan most was that the behavior didn't stop after the loss.
Her team was not truthful about that encounter at all. They never committed to doing the show, ever. Yeah. They said that, I said that I had a personal day, which is not true. I said I am not available the day that Trump was here. I said that day's not. I didn't say that I have a personal day. They just made that up.
That's crazy.
And then they also said that they sent someone here to go through the studio, like sent someone to do a walkthrough. Yeah. Not true.
No.
Not true.
Dude. How can they, it's just you repeat it and you say it and your side believes it and you move on.
Why would they do that when I can just say that's not true?
It's bizarre.
But who are they going to believe? They're going to believe me or a person who literally says whatever the audience wants them to say, which is what they did. Yeah, I'm not. Why would I lie?
According to Rogan, even after defeat, Harris continued trying to claim ownership of policies that were never his to begin with. He sees that not as confidence, but as denial and an unwillingness to accept political reality. You would think there would be a line, especially after losing, but Rogan argues that line was never drawn. He also calls out the attempt to flip the narrative around his podcast, with claims that he didn't want to interview her. There was a major public push for Kamala Harris to sit down with Joe Rogan, yet the interview never happened. The official explanation was that Rogan took a personal day on the scheduled date. That story spread quickly and was treated as fact. Rogan now says it simply wasn't true, arguing that instead of taking responsibility, the campaign chose misdirection.
Fucked her over, I would tell the truth.
Yeah.
If I was like, we lied, we told her I was taking a personal day, but realized I wanted to get Trump in. Not true. I tried to do both of them in the same day. That was my idea.
That would have been amazing.
My idea was to do Trump during the day and then her to come. She had a thing she was doing in Houston. After the thing with Houston, I go, I'll fucking do it at midnight. I don't care. We'll do it whenever you want to do it.
Yeah.
While you're in Texas, but I just can't do during the day because Trump's going to be here.
Yeah.
But they had to have known. I mean, the Secret Service there was 200 guys here. They had fucking
in Texas.
No, in this fucking studio.
No.
There was 200 people here for Trump.
For Trump. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It was packed.
Wow. It's hard not to conclude that Kamala Harris was afraid of being exposed on Joe Rogan's platform. Rogan doesn't ask scripted softball questions, and he doesn't stay inside anyone's comfort zone. His interviews are long, unscripted, and unpredictable, exactly the kind of environment where vague talking points fall apart. Compare that to the infamous 60 Minutes interview, where Harris's responses were reportedly edited to sound clearer and more coherent. Rogan wouldn't have offered that safety net. There would have been no cuts, no rewrites, and no producers stepping in afterward. Just Harris, a microphone, and real-time follow-up questions. Rogan's audience values authenticity, and you can't hide behind rehearsed lines for 3 hours. If a message can't survive open conversation, the problem isn't the interviewer, it's the substance.
Someone had to just know something that he was here.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery. But I
Bringing
said,
the dogs through.
But I wasn't trying to be deceptive. I said, I'll do it later.
Right.
I just can't do it during this time.
That's the excuse they took.
They want to do
That's
it.
like, okay, they took that excuse.
They never
because,
wanted to do the whole thing.
Never.
They wanted to do like a 45-minute thing in a different place. They didn't say scripted, but they did say that there's some things that she didn't want to talk about. And then they denied that.
Yeah. That's what I meant by scripted. Yeah.
I said, I don't care. I'll talk to you about cooking. I don't give a fuck. I just want to know, who are you? I'll figure you out.
Yeah.
I'll figure you out in a few hours.
Yeah. In 3 hours, you can't fake your way through a conversation like this.
No, I'll find you.
Yeah.
I'll find you.
It appears Harris's handlers simply didn't believe she could survive a 3-hour, free-flowing conversation with Joe Rogan. Instead, they reportedly pushed for a tightly controlled 45-minute interview. And they knew exactly how Rogan's show works. His podcast regularly runs close to 3 hours with no scripts, no teleprompters, and no easy exits. Despite that, her team insisted on strict limits, not just on time, but on location as well. They wanted a controlled environment they could manage. That alone says a lot. Rogan's platform thrives on long-form, unscripted exchanges. Reducing that to 45 minutes defeats the entire purpose. When a candidate can't handle extended, open conversation without guardrails, voters notice.
What are you trying to do?
Right.
Like, you could close that border. Trump closed that border in a day.
Amazing.
In a day. You could say, I hate what's going on with ICE, and I don't like it either. I don't like this thing of like taking people. And here's the thing. Well, they should have done it the right way. Yeah. Okay. But if you're poor and you live in a third world country, that's not an available option. Okay, what is an available option is this one administration over 4 years is encouraging people to go through.
Yeah.
Not only are they encouraging you to go through, there's Red Cross stops along the way. They give you maps. They tell you how to do it. They're funding people getting in. They're paying for air flights.
Yeah.
They're flying people in. They're moving people into swing states. They're getting them on Medicare. They're getting them on Social Security.
Many people would have loved to hear Kamala Harris answer Joe Rogan if he asked her why the border situation was allowed to spiral for so long. That exchange alone would have been must-listen content. Rogan wouldn't have accepted buzzwords or deflections. He would have pressed for specifics, timelines, and accountability. Harris was widely referred to as the border czar, tasked with addressing the crisis. Critics argue that under her watch, millions crossed the border amid weak enforcement and limited screening. That sparked backlash across the political spectrum, including from independents and Democrats in border states. A Rogan interview would have forced her to confront those outcomes in real time, without edits or carefully framed sound bites. And that, many believe, is exactly why the interview never happened. In the end, Harris's attempt to control narratives, claim policies, and avoid unscripted scrutiny revealed more than intended. Voters saw through it, demanding accountability and honesty over spin. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.